G'day, I'm Colin. It was almost 20 years ago that I was riding with Rick in the middle of nowhere, just out of Mount Gambier. Rick was the better rider and I was chasing him, and I ran into a fence. I was chasing as quick as I could after Rick. I saw the fence, could do nothing about it. I slammed on my brakes but just hit the fence at probably about 80 or 90 kilometres an hour. My bite took out the bottom 5 strands of the fence, but my neck took the top strand, the top barbed wire. I didn't realise what state I was in. All I remember was not being able to see. I saw, well, my helmet was covering my eyes. I actually thought that my head was separate from my body, and I was trying to make myself breathe. I was in all sorts of distress. And the only thing that calmed me down was when Rick came over and knelt beside me and started praying.
When I saw Colin laying on the ground, the immediate thing was the fact that he was lifeless. He just didn't move. I couldn't see his chest moving or anything. I remember just running, jumping over the fence and just running towards him, just thinking, oh no, you know, this is the worst. Colin's neck was exposed inside. You could actually see all the flesh, and it was obviously a lot of blood. And Colin was just completely lifeless. And I remember after we stopped praying, we looked down at Colin and he opened his eyes and he just simply said, "Hey, is my head still attached?" Which, silly and funny as that sound, was a huge relief to us, because suddenly it was like, well, he's alive. Now let's deal with the next situation as to how we could get him out.
I'd had 7 x-rays of my neck. I'd had 32 stitches to stitch me up again. The prognosis was that I'd be wearing a neck brace for the next 4 weeks at least. And that I'd have to stay in Mount Gambier for the doctor to monitor how the healing was happening, and to have some of my stitches out. They let me out of hospital the next day. They told me that the injuries were similar to whiplash, and that I wasn't to work. I was basically just to rest and to stay in Mount Gambier to be monitored. As it turned out, I went back to the doctor 4 days later. He looked at my neck and he took every stitch out. My neck had healed up so much. The neck brace wasn't needed anymore. Through this time, you know, even though I wasn't thinking about God at the time, God was really looking after me. I know that the situation could have been, you know, a disastrous situation, but I really have faith in God that He looked after the situation there and protected me.